Hello everyone, indeed it's been quite some time since I brought you a tutorial here on YouTube, but today I would like to do something quite autumnal. I think this season grants such a look. I want to use something with a slightly darker lip, with a slightly smoky eye but much more warmer tone. To start off with, I'm going to apply a Maybelline colour to the eyes just as a base. This one is in the shade Creamy Beige, which you can see is considerably darker than my natural skin tone or the skin colour on my eyelids, which is overall a little darker than my actual natural skin tone. But I use this just as a base. They're very similar to the paint pots by MAC, which I know are very popular. And once you've applied that to the top and the bottom, you may start to blend it with any brush of your choice. So for the eyes, I'm going to be using the Nude palette by the Balm. So it's a fantastic nude shade range. I must say it's a slightly naughty palette, as there's 6 chaps lined up along here, and given the visuals, the names that they've used have sort of slightly salacious references. I definitely love the shade range, and I think the branding that they've gone for is it's definitely something different, that's for sure. But the shade I'm going to be using today is this lovely shade called Feisty, and I might use a bit of Firm and Fit, but definitely Feisty to begin with. And with the same brush I used to blend the base, I'm just going to start working this Feisty colour. It's got a lot more warmth than the original colour. And then I'm just taking a slightly bigger, fluffier brush. I think I'll use this one instead actually, just to blur that colour out. It's a very similar colour actually. And I'm just using slight swirling motions, sort of slightly lifting it out a little bit. And then with another clean blending brush, I'm just going to soften any edges so that we have no harsh lines. I think harsh lines look fantastic in furniture, but not in faces. Then I shall take this shade called Funny and work it through the crease. It is a very similar colour to the Feisty, just slightly darker. And I'm going to sculpt that round to the inner corner. I don't usually do that, I usually only take it halfway, but I'm wanting to bring it more into the inner corner, as I'm feeling as if though I'll do a spotlight. And as you can see, it starts to build up quite quickly, and it can look a little bit alarmingly much, I think is the word I'd use. So it can look a little bit too full on, but once you add the rest of the makeup, it actually starts to look very consistent. And then with the remaining product on the same brush, I'm just going to sweep that underneath. I would be lying if I didn't say I find it slightly tickly working on the underneath of the eye. Some more of that funny colour. I'm just going to apply it to the inner lid. Now I shall take some of this colour called Friendly. It's more of a wine, this colour. And then I'm just going to apply it more to the outer corner, and just tap it on first of all, just a tiny bit in the inner corner. Now you can really start to see the effect of how the light is drawn to the centre, and just do the same on the other eye. And then with our blending brush from earlier, I'm just going to take that and start working the colour through. And at any point you can use the back of your hand just to distribute a little bit of excess product that builds up on the brush, because I often find that if you don't keep the brush relatively clean, it starts to make your makeup look slightly murky. So it starts to build up quite quickly and quite severely. I always forget, I've got quite a heavy hand. Then I'm going to take this colour called Fearless and work it down from the brow bone, just to mute down that colour slightly. And on a clean brush, I'm going to take this colour called Faithful and just start to press it onto the lid and start to build up its intensity. Then on the underneath, I'm going to take some of that funny colour again and really smudge it along. Then I'm going to take the friendly colour again, the dark plum, and start to draw underneath. And then just keep blending and smudging. And then with a different pencil brush, I'm just going to take some more of that Faithful colour, apply it to the centre underneath, and just press it to the lower lash line, so that the spotlight effect is on top and bottom. Then I'm taking a gel liner, and I'm just going to apply that to the waterline with an angled brush. And then on the lower lash line, I'm going to take this colour called Fierce, and then just apply it and smoke it in. Now I think I will add a little bit of a wing to the eyeliner. I feel a little naked without it. So I'm just going to do it just from the outer corner. So I didn't line the eye completely on the top with the wing, but I extended it out quite far. Makes my eyes feel a little less naked. Then I'm going to apply the What's Your Type mascara by the Balm. Now I've spoken about this mascara in another video. I really like it. It's not overly complicated, it's just a black mascara. It doesn't transfer, which is really what I online look for. Then I take a spoolie brush, clean of course, and just go through the lashes just to disperse and distribute the product more evenly throughout the lashes. Then I'm going to apply some of MAC Cosmetics Omega as a contour. Now I don't really need a lot of contour as my cheekbones are quite prominent as it is, but I do find that contour, just a little bit of it, tends to just bring everything together. I must admit, I'm not really a fan of the whole contouring craze. Especially on Instagram, you see all these very beautiful faces being absolutely lathered. I often find though, once it's all blended in, it tends to all look the same colour anyway. So I think it's better to work in small amounts and gradually. I'm also not so keen on that technique to put a loose white powder here or lightening underneath the contouring. I think it just becomes very harsh and visible, and I don't like harsh lines on a face. I think they make a face look cheap. And I've always thought that to have expensive looking skin, one must look seamless. Then I'm taking a MAC blush on the same brush. This one is called Blush Baby. I'm only going to take a slight amount of it and just dab it to the cheek, just to warm it up slightly. Nothing too much though. This technique where you pat it everywhere, it really blurs. You're concentrating in the one spot, but it almost blurs the rest of it, and you apply only a tiny bit. And that way it actually looks more natural and healthy. And if you feel that you've gone too overboard, you can just apply a little bit of loose powder. Now I already did my base on my eyebrows before beginning on the eyes or this film, but I'm using the same powder brush that I used earlier with a little bit of loose powder just to tame that down if need be. Now I'm going to take the Balm's Mary Lou Manizer. This is a fantastic highlighter. Unfortunately this isn't the lightest one, so it does look a little bit too dark on me, I'm afraid. It's the second lightest though. But I don't really like to apply highlighter to the high points. I actually quite like a little bit of it on the cheek. Now I know there's a little bit of texture that comes from doing that, but I do think it looks just a little bit more healthier, because I'm not so keen on the flat matte look and the shiny nose, which is also another look you see very commonly on Instagram. But I quite like for it to look healthy everywhere. So I apply a liberal amount of shimmer just to most places. Now I'm not so keen on applying shimmer to the Cupid's bow or highlighter there, because I think on Caucasian faces definitely the lips tend to be a lot smaller, whereas if you were to do it on somebody that had very dark skin, that was maybe African, the lips tend to be much bigger and plumper, so it actually flatters that lip line much better. Whereas if I were to do it on mine, it would actually just highlight the fact that I've got quite a small top lip. And as well, the less space you have between the septum and the philtrum, the more feminine it looks. So if you're adding light there, it enhances the space quite a bit. So I don't really apply any there. I'm not very keen on applying shimmer to my actual nose, but I do like to apply a little bit of it to the bridge area, as there's a little bit more depth than I prefer near my brow bone. So I was going to use a dark lip. I was actually going to use this colour by Illamasqua called Growl, and this is the shade it is. But I decided against it as I tried it on a moment ago, and it made me look a little bit aggressive. So I've decided to go against my original first decision and go for this colour, and it's by the Balm. And I'm first of all just going to apply it to the lips. It's quite a light nude. Then I'm going to go in with this colour by Charlotte Tilbury, and it's called Pillow Talk. And just start to line the lips. Now, I overdraw my lips quite substantially in certain places, not in all places, because my actual lips are actually incredibly uneven. So I just even out the apparent lack of symmetry. So that more or less completes the look. It's a very full-on look, but I think they're quite fun because they show a very strong transformation, definitely on a face such as my own. But I do once again apologise for how long it's taken me to upload any films here. I've been so overwhelmingly busy with work, and work has taken a completely different direction, which I will definitely be talking about at a later date. One thing I have considered doing, which is due to the fact I get an overwhelming response regarding my voice, which I think is awfully charming, I'm considering doing audiobooks or maybe reading books here on YouTube. So if any of you have any recommendations of books that you'd like me to read, or scripts or blogs or anything like that, there are a few that I am very keen to read, and there are a few authors who have asked me to read some of their books. One of my own personal reasons to go ahead with audiobooks or reading sessions is purely because I think beauty and health are interconnected, and I think health and beauty are really one thing. It's definitely something that other people could benefit from. It's something that I think if something calms you down and if something relaxes you in a non-invasive way, then it can be a very helpful thing to one's life, and it can actually improve the quality of one's life if you're able to distress and relax more often. And we definitely do live in a very stressful world with lots of pressures. So I'm compelled to make audiobooks, or take full advantage of the voice I have, which so many of you seem to be very fond of. But to summarise, if any of you have any recommendations or books that you would like me to read, or texts, or whatever, documents, articles, I'd be more than happy to investigate and take a look and see if it's suiting. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and of course, take care of yourself. Bye!